Hey, everybody, on this episode of the Legends of Tomorrow After Show, we're going to be breaking down Episode 2, The Justice Society of America. Find out why Vixen is negging Ray so much during this episode. Let's do it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I don't know why I get a grunt with that. That's right.
I just sound like tennis.
We just sound like super Nazis.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. What a nice tie-in. There you go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Legends of Tomorrow After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. We'll be breaking down Season 2, Episode 2, The Justice Society of America. I'm so excited to be breaking down this team because it's one of my favorite super teams ever.
Yeah.
So look at that. We're going to have a fun time breaking it down. I'm one of your hosts, Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie.
I'm another one of your hosts, a second one. You can find me at Mr. Dave Child. I'm Dave Child. Also go to DaveChild.com, Dave Child.
And I am the other host as well. My name is Lucretia Lyon, guys, so you can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet since there is only one.
And the person who's not a host tonight is one who's a betrayer of fun, doesn't want to play any of our JSA Legends Tomorrow After Show games.
He hates him.
That
Yeah.
is the Lex Michael.
Oh, Lex Michael.
Tweet
God.
him your disappointment for
He's
him
so
bailing
bad
on us.
they named a DC supervillain after him.
That's
Just after
right.
him.
That's right.
Lex.
But also, folks, you can follow us on Twitter. All those handles, great there. You can like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then hop in the chat. Lucretia's got her laptop up. She's got the chat running in there. So if you want to comment about the show, Justice
Yeah.
Society in particular, you want to talk about how angry you are that Lex decided to not be on the show tonight.
It's
There's
fine,
many
too.
things that you can do. Speaking of that, Sarah Nicole Jones, she was going to come in this evening because she had written this episode, but she became ill, so we wish her a speedy recovery and hope to have her here soon because I have a bazillion questions, especially about the Justice Society. So why don't we
Yeah.
just jump right into this here?
Oh, yeah.
We finally get to see the Justice Society. We've been teased at it from the end of last season, a little bit first episode, and now we get to see them in their glory. What do you guys think?
I gotta say, it sounds like they were more like the Jerk Society of America.
A little rough.
Oh man, whew, I wrote that down early. I couldn't wait. They were mean. They were big meanies. They show up and like, who are these young millennials showing up?
Man.
Trying to be all super, and they're definitely not heroes. You are not a hero. And then later, trying to like calm it down, Vixen said to Ray, "You are not a superhero, but now you're just a regular hero." I'm like, what is? What is what's up your butt? Just.
I know, I was like, there was one point, he should have been like, what a bitch. I
Yeah.
mean, it was written on his face, but Ray's just so proper and, he loves the ladies.
They were just like so. I guess they wanted to jail them. Why? Because they were super powered.
I guess they thought they were dressed up and pretending to be OSS officers. So for some
Right.
reason, that also meant they were bad guys. Because the only reason you'd pose as an OSS officer is because you're a bad guy.
Well, they also wanted it's wartime, so they wanted to make sure they weren't Nazis. So I
course.
guess that's something.
Everybody could be a Nazi.
Everybody could be a Nazi.
Yeah.
Can creep up on you. Even Jax could be a Nazi.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
That would
Sure.
be a very self-denying Nazi, but yeah, I guess could be a Nazi.
Well, the one thing we noticed right from the beginning is the JSA, when they have a little battle with the Legends, because they think like, hey, you could be potentially Nazi spies, JSA have got their act together when it comes to fighting.
Yeah, they do. I like how they were like a team that was super strong and worked well as a team, because it actually provided a pretty interesting foil for what we know about the Legends and about how they're just kind of a bunch of cats in a sack. They're just kind of fighting with one another the entire time. And the one part I thought was pretty funny was when Stein was like, "How did Rip do this? How did he?
So hard.
How was he such a great leader to us?" And I kept thinking, like, was he?
Yeah, I know.
Was he? I think Rip did his best, but I think a lot of what he did in the first season was just going like, "Would you guys stop? Stop doing this. Just stop, listen to, okay. All right, let's do this one thing. Oh, that didn't work. That didn't work at all." So
He was just a bad babysitter, basically.
Right,
He's like,
but-
what are you guys doing? Oh, they're going to screw up time.
Yeah, I felt like he tried his
Yeah.
best at points,
Yeah.
but he was just it just kind of felt like he was goofing around.
Well, yeah, because so often they'd come up with a plan, and then immediately everybody else would kind of go off on side plans of their own. And like,
Right, yeah.
Why did we even come up with a plan, guys? Why,
Yeah.
you guys are just going to do what you want.
What are we doing here, guys? What do we focus up?
Yeah, we have some great comments here in the chat. Like Boo69B says, JSA, just some assholes like that. And
That
apparently
is much better than Jerk Society of America. I do have to say that's
it was pretty
That's
good.
better.
And then apparently it is Barry Allen's fault that Lex isn't here.
Yeah,
or he
blame
was
Barry.
time scared. Or,
Oh.
Yeah, we have a few people blaming Barry
Ivan
some of
Soto.
the time.
I
Yeah.
understand that. You know, one thing that was cool seeing Dr. Midnight, I wanted to see how his powers were going to be interpreted in live action.
yeah.
Because a guy who can see in the dark, so it kind of almost like a radar sense, sort of like Daredevil. It's kind of
Yeah.
cool to kind of see like how they would visualize that.
Yeah, and also they used Obsidian's powers like well, and about how the fact and it built the theme that they worked well as a team and a well-oiled machine because they had Obsidian black out everything, and then Dr. Midnight was the one that was able to see in the dark and use that to his ability, to his advantage. So it was nice because it wasn't only you got that full spread action scene that I was hoping for last week, where they're all fighting one another, and that's always great. But it was for a purpose too, was to show that one was kind of had their crap together and the other one didn't. So that was nice.
I'm still wondering, and that's why I can't wait to talk to Sarah Nicole Jones, is to find out why
Uh-huh.
they picked these particular characters, especially Stargirl and Obsidian. Because as I said last week, there's a more modern day characters that have an affiliation with the Justice Society. So to
Right.
have them back in the 40s seems so unusual. I'm wondering why they chose them as opposed to other 40s characters like the original Adam or Starman or other characters like that they could have
Yeah.
used.
My guess is they wanted Obsidian so that he can work well with Dr. Midnight. That was my guess, so that they can show a team that works well together for that reason. My guess is why they have Stargirl is so that they can have a chick on the team. I think that's maybe just as simple as that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what else are you going to do? You need to have some diversity. You have Vixen, but you need to have more than just one girl
Yeah,
on
in
the
fact,
team.
even Vixen wasn't part of the original. I mean, she's a modern day character as well. The idea of kind of going back and showing her as a legacy character.
Right, and this is a team that was around in the 40s, so it's not a big diversity.
No,
Back
and
there.
Their two characters were Wonder Woman, who of course kind of I can see why they're
Can't
not
use,
using them, and
yeah.
then Black Canary. She came in a little bit later in the run, but again, that's something that's also
That'd be
a modern day
confusing.
character.
Yeah.
Well, to me, they really should have used Alex Kingston if they hadn't already used her as, Sarah and Laurel's mother, because she would
Right.
have been great as like the real Dinah Lance, like the Golden Age Black Canary.
That would have been cool,
that would be
too.
cool,
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, because that was always kind of cool thing about that interpretation of the characters, where you finally see like that mom that's like almost like a stage mom in terms of a superhero, like
Right, which is something that you kind of see in Watchmen, where
Yes,
that they have
with Silk
with
Spectre.
The Silk Spectre is kind of the Black Canary of the group, in that where like Watchmen is coming a lot from the Justice Society, kind of right, and kind of inspired by that.
and also the Charlton heroes like Dr. Manhattan's like Captain Atom,
Right.
Blue Beetle, sort of like Night Owl.
Yeah.
They're kind of basically just kind of interpretations of all those characters.
yeah.
So yeah, we see them. They easily wipe up the floor with the legends, and they put them in a nice little cell. And I do like that they got their cool, swanky little 40s hideout.
Yeah.
With a nice, like, cool old school TV, watching them through the monitor there. That's like, all right, cool, a little black and white TV, watching them argue all the time.
Yeah, they got that nice wood like table to sit around and argue their 1940s banter around. It's cool.
Yeah, and basically the way they get this all together is that Nate, good old Nate Haywood, our historian, our time
detective.
yes,
Historian / time detective.
he basically recites to Steele his the dog tag numbers, the serial number on his dog tags,
Right.
and tells him all about how they came into his possession. And so that kind of gives them a little credibility. So they're willing to buy that they're from the future.
Yeah, I like that. I like that he has like this is a guy that seems to have his fingers in so many pies because he seems to know every single thing just at the right moment.
Well, I mean, he's also, I guess we learn later, he's a hemophiliac. And he was basically locked in from like 6 to 16. So what else are you going to do, I guess?
Right.
He had a lot of reading time.
I liked how it was kind of like, oh, someone with a big weakness, someone with like who has kind of a fault that they have to take care of. And I think that's pretty much gone by the end of the episode.
Yes.
I think we'll find next episode he's no longer a hemophiliac. In fact, he might be something more. Something a lot more.
And we also get a little taste of who are the Legion of Doom.
The Legion of Doom. A little
Blank
bit
there
of
for a
Legion of
second.
Doom.
Yes, got a little mind wiped right there. Yeah, we got Eobard right there back. Not just in his casual clothes. It's kind of cool to see
Yeah.
Eobard in casual clothes because you never really see him there.
Yeah.
It's always just with the hood off and the reverse
And he's
flesh
always
costume.
a little shaky.
Yeah.
He's always a little blurry. It's nice to be just like out of the yellow.
Yeah, and he's just hanging out with Nazis. You know,
Yeah.
he wanted to do
Of
back in the
course
40s.
he would.
Yes, come on, Eobard.
Of course he's hanging out with. He looks like a Nazi, so he kind of blends right in.
Yeah.
But he basically wants something from Hitler. Hitler's not willing to give it up
Right.
without something in return, and so he gives him a little taste of something that could hopefully change the Nazis' outcome in the war. Basically, making their own kind of super soldiers.
Yeah, and it was funny to watch them dance around the term super soldier
Yeah.
this entire episode. They were saying super soldier and then they're like super serum. It's not super serum. That's a bit on the nose. That's a biomolecular enhancer. So
I love how Ray did make that joke. That's a little too on the nose.
yeah,
And-
let's like get away from that. Let's like not mention anything about super soldiers. It's a different type of group.
And to me, it really looked more like Nuke from the RoboCop movies. You know, the drug where they just like a little bit of prick
yeah.
and they inject it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
The Ubermensch, the Berserker.
Mm-hmm.
I saw
Berserker.
on the in the chat very early on. I think I wrote it down, but REJ9098 said that maybe he thought that was Blockbuster from the DC.
Kind of could be interesting about like that. I mean, it does have a similar look to it.
Yeah.
Guy kind of just turning into a big rage kind of beast.
Big sandy rage
Yeah.
thing. He kind of looked like.
Big sandy
I felt like he looked like a Stretch Armstrong if you never stretched it out. It was always just like squished together. That little like pale thing kind of lumbering at you.
Because like the name Baron Krieger, it makes you think that there's some kind of connection. And I was looking it up during the
Yeah.
episode, and there wasn't any kind of direct correlation. But there was Baron Blitzkrieg, who was a Nazi supervillain that the All Star Squadron fought back in the day. But he was
Right.
he was almost like the Destro of Nazi villains because he had a big metal mask over his face. And then you had Captain Nazi, who was a Shazam villain, who kind of looks similar to
Nazi.
Krieg,
Yeah.
but a different power set. So
Right. It's they kept saying Berserker over and over again, so that made me think, is there someone named Berserker that I don't know about?
that's true.
Then I just thought of the Clerks song.
Yeah, that was me. I was like, I thought of Clerks.
Berserker.
But in the meantime, we do find out, as Dave and Boo69Bs were both saying, about
Yeah.
the Justice Society then starts showing like, boy, being back in the 40s, you just got a real you got a real stick up your butt. Because Rex is
Yeah.
like, hey Sarah, be quiet. We got to listen to Mr. Stein. here."
Woman is woman talking? Let me talk to old white man.
Whoo, man.
It's like, I know it's 1942, but damn,
Yeah.
you got women on your team too.
Yeah, I'm glad Jax was the one to just be like, yeah, of course he thought you were the leader. You're an old white dude. One thing I do like about this series is they're actually nodding towards certain, because I got a little uncomfortable when they just walked into a Nazi bar with Jax and no one kind of looked at it like
Yeah.
coming in with an African American guy with a black guy, and no one's like, no, not him. And I was like, when is no one gonna say something? These Nazis are super cool. These Nazis are super fine with diversity. And then after a while, at least he said something at least negative
Yes.
about
Yeah.
Jax and nodding towards it. So that was enough to be like, okay, cool. They
But-
recognize that.
The Vixen was dancing with them. I'm like,
Yeah, Vixen was
and
that felt a
yeah.
little different because that
it's
felt
like she is a woman, but still.
yeah, but it felt like they were kind of it's a different thing to let in a beautiful woman and who might be posing as a prostitute at that place rather than like
Yeah.
a black
Jax.
guy. Yeah.
Now, if you had to look at the whole the crew we have in Legends right now,
Yeah.
who would you have picked to be the leader?
Oh, I would go with Sarah. I would.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. That's where I thought they were leading to, because she's the one that actually she led some assassins already. She's already kind of been a leader. She in the League of Assassins, it felt right. everyone else is kind of has their own ego to deal with, or maybe Ray, but he just is too goody two shoe. You need to have someone called the tough shots.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is Sarah and Ray to me seem like the only possible, but Sarah ultimately is the one that will make the tough call. Ray's going to try to save everyone even when,
Yeah.
things are in the shitter.
Now, if it was last season, I would say Captain Colt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see
I think
that.
he
Yes.
would make a better leader because it feels like he's a bit more even keeled and is used to working kind of the long game and playing chess with people.
I'd agree with that. And I just like, as much as Ray, I just feel like he's not battle tested as much as Sarah is. So
No.
Sarah does seem like the obvious choice. But hey, according to Rex, we go by age when we talk about leaders.
Yeah.
So everybody says, and then we find like that Nate not really making a connection with his grandfather as much as he had hoped. He idolizes
Yeah.
his grandfather, and then it's just one thing to meet your heroes up close.
Well, I think that happens if we all meet our young versions of our grandfathers. They're probably disappointing. I don't know why
Although
I
my
said that.
great grandfather, that guy was cool.
That guy was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean, I guess it's certainly, especially at that time, I think if somebody like is sort of, you find out that they're a war hero, that everybody, future generations just kind of like really almost like hero worship them.
Yeah.
I could see how that if you were finding that out present day before all those things have become a part of history, you're like kind of uncomfortable. Like, well, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to protect my country.
Right. And if you're thinking of like, oh, my grandfather was like a super awesome hit Nazis in the face guy, and then you meet him. He's just a human.
Yeah.
He's just going to be a human, even if he is slightly super. He's still a human. Does he have powers, or was he?
In the comic book, he has powers. He's very similar to what Steel becomes. He's got the super hard, dense skin, and he's got some strength to him. This, he
He seemed kind of like Captain America, except without the extra boost.
Yeah, because he looks very scrawny in that costume. He just looks
Yeah.
like a scrawny guy, and he seems just athletic. Seems to be the only thing. 'Cause he does that really cool like little spin at the beginning.
Right.
But that's it. Like I guess that's just like a unenhanced Captain America. I guess.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he wasn't the leader of the group. That Our Man is the leader of the group.
Man, they just fell in line with Our Man. That was it.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really get I was bummed because as much I love Our Man, it's a cool
Right.
concept and a cool character, but we never really got to see him in action.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
don't really know in this series, if you're going in and you don't know who Our Man is, you don't really know why he's called Our Man.
Very true.
Like, I thought maybe he had... Because I was thinking of the Our Man from the 90s, the android that, like, traveled in time and stuff. So I kept thinking, like, I forget if Our Man had superpowers of some sort or that used time travel. But really, it was just super strength.
Yeah.
So...
No, I mean, I wanted to see him, hit the miracle, whether it's he take the pill or use the serum and get his 60 minutes of power. We never get to see him do
you
that.
never get him see him. So he's just a guy you call Our Man.
That's right.
He's
Yeah,
like, he
it's
does a lot of stuff in an hour. He's a really good hour man.
We do get to see though what happened after the end of the season finale. Though we get to see a little bit more of the conversation that Our Man had with the Legends about wondering him why not go back to 1942 and see disappear. Because like last episode when they say, oh, he just talked to us and then he disappeared, it seemed kind of weird. And now to see it play out, kind of realize it wasn't just quite disappearing. It was almost like he was scrubbed out.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
pulling a Marty. He was kind
Yes.
of like they're using that slowly disappearing feel to it. Now, I kind of like that he did literally disappear because we felt like when we started watching the second season, we're like, where did he go? It just
Yes.
it felt like he just like left right away, and it turns out that literally is what happened.
That's right.
And
yeah.
he just really just disappeared. So it wasn't just we didn't miss anything. He just popped out of existence. So wait, does that mean there were two Wave Riders? Like what happened? Because he showed up in the Wave Rider. Did that also disappear?
I mean, I feel like the
That must have
future-
just yeah.
I feel like the future's changed now because he doesn't
Yeah.
go. But then that if you start thinking about that, that's going to throw us in that whole weird warped
Don't
logic.
think
like,
about it too
yes,
hard.
Too many time paradoxes. Then, like if he's erased out of the timeline, then how does he go back and warn the Legends?
Right.
Blah, blah,
And
blah.
Yeah,
how
or
do
they
they
would be
remember
there.
that he even existed?
Yes.
If he's like, just don't think about it too hard.
Yeah.
I'm sure I will obsess about this at some point
Yeah,
later
yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
season. I'm like, dang it, what happened?
Why is this there?
But we find out that Krieger's been spotted in Paris, so Vixen's going to head off and do a little surveillance. And I
Yep.
like how Rex is like, that's very smart of you. Yes, go do that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. And then we see Ray just being so envious. Like, these guys got their act together, man. But look at us.
Right.
Like, as Dave says, they're just like, we're like a bag of cats.
Bag of cats.
Yes.
Like us,
The
we're
Legends
terrible.
are a bag of cats. Also, I realized while watching this episode that calling themselves the Legends is very conceited of them, isn't it? Because they're like, especially when they're hanging out with the JSA and you have Vixen saying, you know, the JSA would never do that, and then you have Ray go like, neither would the Legends, and I'm like, oh, ooh, when you say it like that,
Yes.
ooh boy.
Well, and the funny thing is, they were given the name sort of sarcastically by
Yeah.
Rip in the beginning, so it's kind of just funny to me
And
that
they
they
just-
still go by it. It's like, you're not Legends. No one cared about you. That's the reason I wanted you on the team.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna call them? The Lots,
Yeah.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, I feel like, but that's like not. I feel like they can't give themselves that team name. You just have to say we just had to have no team name and hope in the future see people look back on us as legends. Maybe
Right.
we become the legends later on.
The Waivers.
We're the Wave Riders.
We're the
guys.
Waivers.
But they need to go to Paris because they realize all of a sudden history's changing because Nate conveniently starts losing his dog tags
Right.
because history's
What,
changed.
and it's also the oldest thing on him is what we realized, and I think that's why he can disappear without him disappearing right
Yeah.
away, because it's kind of leading up to him.
Very true. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a little side talk about like, oh, is he going to start disappearing the way he
Limbs,
came out of the
yeah.
womb?
Yeah, the oldest part of him, and then that's confusing because we don't know if it's a cesarean section,
No, who
or
knows?
what. So you know, it could be head first, or he could have come out arm fist
That's right.
first. Could have swam out. Okay, we're losing track.
So as much as everybody's saying, hey, you can't come to 42, that's dangerous. Everything's going to go wrong if
Right.
you do that. They realize we can't leave because now history's changed. We got to go save the JSA. Off to Paris we go. And Stein, says like, hey, you know what? I know they find out where they're at. They had this nice little club in Paris. And Stein says, you know what? I have a striking resemblance to this singer, Max Lorenz.
Oh,
So-
he just wanted to sing.
He just wanted to show off.
Oh,
It was
he
so
knew
funny.
what he was doing. He wanted to bring that little extra talent that you didn't think he had.
Yeah, that's right. But I like Jax is like, what do you? Come on, you're not a wartime consigliere. I mean, this is not your cup of tea. When things start getting a little
Right.
pressure filled, you're gonna take off and head for the hills.
Yeah. But he was like, at least he's got the pipes.
He's like, no, I got a song in my heart. I'm ready to go.
Ooh. And he could sing Anal Vice so well. That's what it's called, right? Anal Vice?
Anal Vice. No.
Yeah.
Anal
No.
Vice?
Oof.
That's not what he's
No.
singing about?
Nope.
Putting
Nope.
putting vices in
In your butt?
your butt? No? I thought it was
not-
Anal Vice.
That was nope.
The funny thing about Stein is I think I was a big Alias fan, and then I started watching. I saw like one of the original versions of a taping of Sweeney Todd. It was Sweeney Todd, I think, or it might have been Les Mis. But you see the actor who plays Stein, a young version of him on Broadway singing.
Oh, nice.
So he is like a Broadway singer. He's like they definitely, I think, were trying to hit that like talent of his
Why
by
not?
bringing it out. It's kind of like when Batman sang on one of the Justice League
Brave and the Bold,
Unlimited.
or even Brave and the Bold, and the Justice League, where they people get turned into pigs and stuff. He's
Yeah,
Wonder
he
Woman,
gets turned to pig, and so it's like you have to do the one thing you've always been afraid to show.
Yes.
And then Batman goes up and sings a little song because the voice actor of that is also like an amazing Broadway singer. So when you bring that out, when you cast someone like that, I think writers tend to search for a reason to get that character to sing, to be like, surprise.
That's right.
Yeah, because Victor Garber sang on Greg Berlanti's other show, Eli Stone. He was a part of
yeah?
that. That was pretty well a musical, like, hallucination show. So, yeah.
Right.
And I know he was pretty big on Broadway. But now we got to get Barman to sing when he comes in the...
Well, you found a Dominic Purcell, amazing foosball player. So
Yeah.
when they incorporate that into an episode where they've got to save the day by playing foosball,
Right.
yeah, that's going to be a good episode.
It's going to be just like that Community episode. He's going to, like, have this bullying flashback. That's why he's good at foosball. I wrote that, Sarah.
There you go. That's right. Yes. Yeah. I've got this large collection of shot glasses, guys. Is there a way you can kind of turn this into an episode? I just, we thought.
Sure.
Just maybe just sit outside for a little bit. That's all right. So they head over to the club, and Stein kind of makes his way in, convinces everybody that he is indeed Max Lorenz. And Ray immediately sees Vixen and says, "Hey, oh, there's Vixen. I'm gonna go cut in and start dancing with her." And it's like, "You're blowing my cover. What are you doing?"
Right.
Ray, no smoothness whatsoever.
Ray is not very good at just lying in general, I guess it
No.
turns out.
That's what's so charming about him.
Yeah, he can't even come on, dude. You could do a Heil Hitler if you needed to. if pressured, I think, come on, you can get away with that. And he was just like, no, I'm not going to do it. And Jax was upset for a good reason. I think I would have been like, if I couldn't do it, I would have been like, Jax, I'm not allowed to do this. I have enough privilege. Jax, this is yours. Please hit the Nazi first. I'll be hitting plenty of Nazis.
Yeah, so I love him. Like, he can't even get it up, and he shrinks, but he's still the most eligible bachelor of the legends.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, maybe him and Vixen. Who knows?
I think they're building the Vixen thing.
Yeah.
Which I think they have, by the way, a lot more time and a lot more, so far, more chemistry
Yes.
than
Yes.
Kendra.
For sure.
Yeah, a lot more chemistry. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and I think it was just too hard with the Kendra stuff because you just set it up that she was already like bound to Carter, and it was just too tough to ever overcome.
And that by that point, we're like, okay, this is the second or third love that's coming to her that we've known about.
Yeah.
Since we've been watching Kendra since like the very beginning, since Flash. So it's like it was too much. It was another addition. This was okay, new character, Vixen. Starting off, let's go. Okay.
Yeah.
And I love how he calls her Animal Girl. Isn't that
Yeah,
sexy?
exactly.
Hey,
Like,
yeah, Animal Girl.
I also love how she corrected him by saying like, in the field, my name is Vixen, which implies like, wait,
Yeah.
where are you called Animal Girl? Then? It's like, I'm called only Animal Girl in the sheets.
Yeah.
Bonobo power, go. Okay.
We get Stein's Marty McFly reference there from Back to the Future. Reason that we chose the song going in there is, watch me for the changes and try to keep up, as it's about to
Right.
sing Edelweiss. Just, again, using your future knowledge to impress everybody in a past time. Like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I could just rock out this interpretation of a song, Edelweiss. Ever heard of it? Nope.
Yeah. Get your vices ready, because we're gonna anal this vice.
So we find out the whole reason that the JSA and everybody's involved for this, what Eobard Thawne wants is that Ascaran amulet. Some kind of Judeo-Christian sort of thing. Around, I saw there on the screen there, like 1st century BC.
Yeah.
Its origins are kind of unknown.
So
exactly
do you
what it does.
recognize it from the DC universe at
I
all?
need to look it up to find out what it is.
Okay,
Anybody
so
in the chat
if
happens to know,
anyone
feel
in the
free.
chat recognizes it from the DCU, let us know, because right now our historian, our
Yeah, even I
our
was like,
DC time detective is not recognizing
I
it.
know we
guess
found something that
I'm
Frank
so-
didn't know.
I'm
Guys.
sorry, guys. I didn't know that.
By the way, for at one point, the time detective on this one, at first I thought it was like, is this a character I don't know about called the hemophiliac historian?
Yes.
That's just what his superpower is. I bleed and read.
I get cut and don't heal. Check me out. Yeah, that's right. We find out.
I know the Dewey Decimal System like crazy.
But as much as he's been cut and bruised in the field, he's never felt more alive. And Sarah basically is just like, I've seen too many people die around me. I'm not going to lead somebody that isn't battle tested, trained, whatever. Just a normal civilian, no matter how smart you are with history. I'm going to not let you get to go out there and possibly kill yourself.
Oh, this is an interesting theory from Jonathan Deming. Could the amulet be the way of getting Dark his power?
Yeah, because he did have to have some sort of talisman or amulet.
Oh.
So yeah, that may be the
Right,
reason.
and I think he does. Does he start the Arrow? His appearance in Arrow. Does he first have powers or does he gain powers?
He has powers when he first starts off,
Right.
Because he does have the totem somewhere hidden, and they do find it later on in the season when Vixen, the modern day Vixen, shows up.
Yeah,
And they
so
end up
it's
destroying it.
more like connected with the totem.
Yes.
In the Arrowverse, but this could be something to at least get Dark started off on.
Yeah, this could be
using
the
his
precursor
powers.
to that totem, because I think that same totem we see through all the flashbacks in that season of Arrow, that it's on the island and stuff. So
Yeah, the amulet's definitely magic because it's also, it's the Nazis deal in like sci-fi and magic.
Yeah.
So it could be either one. It's the Nazis. They are the best villains. They are the best villains because they actually love the occult.
Yeah.
As soon as I think writers found out about that, they're like, oh, we're gonna use them for everything.
anything like magic or meth, anything like that, where you're like the Nazis did
Say
that.
magic or meth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, have you never seen that one on the History Channel?
It's
thing.
Hitler's secret meth lab.
That's
that he's
right.
building.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Uncovered.
Basically, it was, pretty much like what the super soldier serum sort of idea came
Is that
from.
why he
they
was
were,
Walter White?
Dun,
Yeah,
dun,
duh.
dun. Great Aryan name, everybody.
Yeah.
Again, even though it's on the History Channel, I'm not sure how factual it is. But
Right. Well, yeah.
So the one other thing that we kind of commented on too is when Nate's saying, "Hey, I can be a big asset to this team," Sarah says, "We've been doing fine without you so far. So, you're gonna listen to me and stay on the ship." And I was like, "Really, guys, that's debatable. Have you guys really been doing fine without a historian?"
Yeah, I think they've been doing better with the historian.
Yes.
He's a great addition to the team.
There's no way they would have found each other last episode without Nate's specific help.
Yeah.
Given their own devices, they would never have been able to reconnect.
He's kind of like a Rip who's new and fresh and still hungry.
Yes.
Because you get Rip Hunter, he was kind of someone who's been through everything. He just wants to settle down with Jonah and just cuddle up.
But and without the luxury too, because Rip is always like, "Guys, you don't realize how much you're screwing with time."
Yeah.
even though that's the whole point of the show is to
Yeah.
screw with time.
You guys are screwing with time, but not the way I want you to screw with time. Not the specific way. You guys are doing things I didn't anticipate, and all this other time is changing. Oh, did not go the way I planned. You are no Jonas. You're not Jonas to me.
Because like Nate, right off the bat, he's like, "Hey, guess what? I'm your grandson." What do you
Yeah.
think about that? It's like,
What'd you think about that?
Yeah, what do you think about that? I'm your grandson. I mean, Rip would be like, "You can't tell them
Yeah.
who you really are."
But even before that, Stein was like, "Oh, hey, don't worry, we're time travelers." Like when the JSA showed up.
okay.
He was like, "Oh, we're just traveling through time. Don't worry about us. That's what we do."
Why do you think that would have worked? Like, Stein sometimes, to be so smart, he's kind of a dumbass. It's like, oh, don't worry, we're just time travelers.
Yeah,
and
well,
they want to put him in the middle.
It's the social graces he doesn't understand. He's more of a book smart type guy.
We also have Vixen chastising Ray for blowing her cover, and he's bragging about his suit. This is this suit, state of the art. I built it myself. It's battle tested.
Right.
And then I do like
Battle
Vixen being
tested,
mad.
mother approved.
I'll never be able to go back to Paris again, thanks to you, Ray. I'll never be able to do that. And then
And I like how he's like, "This suit is great. It always works and never breaks down. Never."
Right. And then I'd like Vixen's final line. If it's any consolation, you're not really a hero.
Come on, Vixen.
It's like, what
is
a
that?
bitch.
Yeah, I think she had the bitch animal activated
Yes.
during that,
It's like, form of dog.
or maybe the cat. Meow. Hiss. Put them claws away, Vixen.
See, that's when we needed Leonard Snart to show up and do his Bethers.
That's right.
Yeah.
The two of them just
Yeah.
growl at each other.
I would watch that.
So we see them go to the Fountain Blue Forest. They get the amulet.
Hashtag bag of cats, by the way.
That's right.
Someone wrote on the.
And things go south because Krieger finds out he's under attack, so he uses the serum that Eobard gave him. Turns into a whatever we're going to be calling him, his Berserker, his Captain Nazi, his Blockbuster. Basically wipes the floor with Adam and Vixen, and Stein overwhelmed as a leader, doesn't know what to
Yeah.
do, calls a retreat. They've got the amulet, but they have to leave Adam and Vixen behind.
Yeah, he's not a good action guy.
No.
He doesn't understand how to be tactical. He needs to sit at home with a good book and really ponder things out.
Oh yeah.
That's not why he's good.
But after Jackson Stein talked, Stein realized, you know what? You're right. You need a tactician, not a theoretician. Theoretician. Yeah. So.
Theoretician.
Yeah. So Rex and Sarah, they're debating, and when Rex says, "Hey, we just have to sacrifice Ray and Vixen. Vixen would want to die if it could save so many
Right.
lives." And Stein says, "Hey, guess what? We're gonna listen to Sarah." I felt like Rex was like, "What? Listen to a woman?"
A woman? Sarah?
It's like, that's not a man's name.
Our man don't like.
Which seems so weird because earlier in the episode, when Vixen says, "Hey, I'm going to go to Paris and do a little surveillance," Rex is like, "Great idea. You're so smart about that." And then when
Yeah.
Sarah says, "Hey, I have an idea too," "No, you shut up." Though you.
You gotta respect the woman he knows. He has to know. He has to know the woman for a while and get her. I guess.
Yeah,
I don't
because a
know.
lot of people are implying that at the end, Vixen was one he was getting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's very true. They did seem very close.
Getting some of that animal girl.
Yeah, that may have
Animal
been
woman.
where Ray got that name. It was his pet name for him.
Yeah.
But of course, Ray has a plan. He's going to basically stall them long enough for them to kind of get a way out. Which that basically just turns out to be just wait until the main bad guy Krieger gets bored to leave the room.
Yeah.
and then figure that they can.
And then the
get out.
dumb Nazi guards will come in and just be like,
That really wasn't much of a plan, was it? I don't know.
yeah, I guess it kind of was. He was like, what's the heaviest object in the room? Oh, the microscope.
Yeah.
I'll get by the microscope. And then I did like how he was like, I said that whole line about what am I going to take you all out with just a microscope. It was so I could take you all out with a microscope. And then you did the thing with the chair, and now I don't even know why I say these lines. They never really proved true. Cat lady.
And so Siva Ram points out Ray loves animal girls.
Yeah, that's
I was
true.
There
like,
you
oh,
go.
that was a good one.
That's
yeah,
true.
He just wanted to hit him with a microscope, guys.
And even Vixen without her amulet, though, still wants to let Ray know, like, yeah, I'm still a 5th degree black belt. I've got all these, I'm trained in all these different, sharp-edged weapons and stuff. So hold on, Ray, relax.
This makes me think Ray might be a furry in disguise. Just after those animal
You're
girls.
just making him hotter.
I still don't understand why we never saw Our Man. I mean, he orders the bomb strike, but we never see him in battle at all.
Well, here's the funny thing, because you also have, because I imagine Our Man is probably one of the strongest of the team with his powers.
Yeah, I mean,
Right,
so yeah,
Like an
Probably.
hour, though.
Yeah, for an hour, but that's why I understood he's the leader, because he's laying back, and then he can, okay, now we need to send in the big guns. I'm gonna go out there because I can only use it for an hour, but when I use it, it's probably stronger than everyone else, which makes sense for him to lay back. But he was also hanging back with Firestorm. And Firestorm's also super strong and someone to use.
Yeah.
And at least when Sarah took over, she was like, yeah, Firestorm, go out there. Shoot some big, get noticed.
yeah, exactly.
Be the flaming guy in the woods, so people will be like, oh my God, there is a flaming dude here. Let's freak out.
Because I thought for sure Our Man was going to use his hour of power and take on Krieger when he's all muscled out. I thought that was that moment where you're going to see Our Man taking him on mano a mano, but that never happened.
Right.
Instead, we just see Nate rescue Commander Steele. They start racing off on their bike. The bomb strike happens. Krieger gets blown up, which is kind of
There's
like
a little bit of a Jurassic Park moment.
Yeah, it's
When
kind of a
they're
dud
growing.
ending for that. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how he goes. He actually died that way, huh?
Yeah, and I was like,
I thought
that's
it was going to be, he's definitely dead. And oh no, he's not dead.
Yes, and it didn't happen. And then another bomb strike happens, and poor Nate and Commander Steele get hit.
Yeah.
We all you can tell Nate's not looking not that good. No,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, sorry, bleeding.
Yeah.
Bleeding. His hemophiliac powers are kicking in
Yeah.
as he bleeds all
What
over
is
the
he,
place.
Samuel L. Jackson in Unbreakable? What
Yeah,
is your
it kind of
death?
it kind of felt like that. Behold, as I won't stop bleeding.
Die.
What if he just became had blood powers after that? He could just spray blood on anyone.
Oh,
I'm gross. I'm super gross.
Speaking of Samuel L. Jackson, Lydia points out that Our Man was a sexy young Nick Fury.
Ooh, it's true.
Yeah, he's pretty sexy.
But at least Nick Fury fought.
Yeah.
Our Man just sat there the whole time. He was just, he just criticized.
Right.
He never did anything. Criticized
Well,
and strategized.
do you think we've really seen the last of him? I know this.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna be paradoxing his way.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull a Barry on this. I feel
think
like
so.
he's gonna come back at some point because we're gonna go back in time just at the right moment or something.
It's too. I feel like it's too well known of an actor and too cool of a character not to see him. Not
yeah,
to see him
especially
again.
because we haven't seen him even use his powers or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Also, we get a reveal that he's bested the Reverse Flash a couple of times by going back and kind of letting himself dissolve a few times. It kind of feels like he alters history a bunch, which is how he's defeated Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder if they're making his powers time related after all.
Yeah, because I'm starting to think about, how daylight savings works, and then he'll show up to go back an hour to save himself.
There was a cool comic book series in the late '90s there that Rags Morales was the artist for, where they had Our Man, but it was he was in the DC 1 Million series, and he was basically from
An android, right?
Yeah, he was an android
I
that could
remember
travel
this.
through time.
Yeah.
Really cool. And came back to modern day, hung out with Snapper Carr.
Snapper Carr.
Yes.
Him and Snapper Carr were basically Fry and Bender.
Bender, yeah, exactly.
They were just like hanging out and just kind of lazing about and having. It was a really good comic.
I really enjoyed
that.
that.
On Supergirl. Then I was like, man, I don't know what this is, but I want to watch it now.
Yeah.
Because when they brought Snapper Carr in that version,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's such a waste of that character. There's so many other.
Snapper Carr's in Supergirl now.
Yeah, but it's not the
in
Snapper Carr you know.
Gomez, though.
Wait,
He's
when
a
where
pretty good
was he?
actor.
Did I miss this episode?
He's the new kind of editor in chief of Catco.
Catco.
Oh
He's a
wait,
boss,
that
yeah.
bald dude?
Yeah, Ian Gomez.
That's Snapper Carr?
Yeah.
Oh, boo.
I felt like it was a disappointing use of that character. Like you could
Oh,
pick somebody else from comics lore to be an editor.
Just make him anything but the like young best friend of the Justice League. That's kind of depressing.
You could have used Morgan Edge. You could have used George Taylor, who's the editor in chief of the Daily Star back in there. That
Right.
other references that you could have used instead of Snapper Carr just seems so weird. To
I
use
didn't
that
even realize. I didn't pick up on that
because
when
he's
I
like the
watched
Rick
it.
Jones of the DC universe, kind of like that slacker dude that's always just kind of like hanging around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's nothing like that on there.
But this isn't the Supergirl criticizes the character choices show.
yeah.
This is the
Yeah, sorry.
Legends of Tomorrow after show. So
Back
we
to
fi-
Daylight Savings, man.
Yes. So we find out, of course,
Ivan
Nate's
Soda.
dying. Ray suddenly remembers after prompted by Stargirl and Vixen, like about the knots. He's like, wait, I was tinkering around with Krieger's medicine. We may have enough to actually save him because he was about to inject himself before the attack happened. So it would have been curious to see
Right.
Ray was about to give himself powers.
I kind of want to see Super Ray. Also, what if when he gave himself the injection, it did something different? Like maybe it gave him the ability to shrink. So he actually becomes the Atom.
That would be so cool.
Oh, I would like that.
And now we don't use the suit anymore because the suit's so unreliable.
Yeah, get rid of that. That would be great if he internalizes that power eventually, and he actually just becomes, and he can actually just use his shrink powers the best he can, rather than have a suit connected to it.
Yeah, because I feel more often that they just make it that the suit always breaks down. It always breaks down.
Yeah, and they make him into. He's turned into. He is just Iron Man in this. But like, that being said, I am enjoying the season a lot, and even this episode I think was super fun, and you got to see more Nazi bashing. The tone I feel is more together. That they're just having fun. They're just doing dopey Doctor Who adventures,
Yeah.
like very Batman 66, very like, just having this old school campy fun, which is why I think they're allowed to be like, oh yeah, we're time traveling.
Yeah.
By the way, just say it right away. Just enjoy it.
I feel that's the reason they pretty much did on The Flash. Okay, don't time travel anymore. Because
Yeah.
we already got that over here. And let's just focus on that. And Jonathan Dimming points out Ray's power is the inability to find a woman.
Oh,
Great,
Ray.
great ability.
Oof.
Well, what I
Champion.
do though, because other than like Vandal Savage wasn't the most exciting villain, or at least it wasn't executed as well as it could have been last season. And I think maybe some of the benefit for this season is that you're using. Eventually, you're going to be having 4 villains that we've already had a long runs on other shows. So seeing them now on this show, you're bringing so much of that. Information and knowledge and just like establishment that they have that I think it's going to be really cool to see them interacting with each other as well as against the legends.
And Reverse Flash is such a good ringleader because he doesn't seem stoppable. He seems like he's too powerful for them. Like I have a hard time imagining them taking down Reverse Flash.
I'm really going to be curious to see when we get like more of a Legion centric episode to see how the 4 of them, their personalities interact with each other. Are they 4 alphas? Do they kind of all fall in line against behind Eobard?
Right.
Is there somebody the ringleader? I'll be curious to see how that their power structure is.
Yeah, because like they're all alphas. Like we said, we really need a beta, like Toyman or the Trickster. Just someone like also just a lunatic.
Yeah.
Just be the wild card.
So it looks like the serum saves Nate. So he somehow everything's healing. We don't know the extent of that yet.
And I'm
until
sure he's not going to get superpowers from it.
probably not. I
No,
think
no.
everything's going to be just fine.
Nope, he's just going to be a regular dude, historian, time detective.
And we get Vixen with her last little dig at Ray. It's like, you're not a superhero, but you're a hero because you gave her the chance to have real powers to save someone.
Come on, Vixen. What is it? Where are you drawing the line? Let him be a superhero. He's flying around in a time ship, for Pete's sake. You're a superhero. You're
because
fine.
If you take Vixen's amulet away, sure, she's got all this martial arts knowledge and stuff like that, but I mean, she doesn't
Yeah.
have that extreme extra edge of like all those animal abilities and strengths that she has when she uses the amulet. So in a sense,
Right.
the amulet is her Atom suit.
Also, you've known the dude for a day. Come on.
Yeah, Ray is not just so adorable. He's smart. You know,
smart.
he's a professor. He's a scientist.
He's super rich.
Exactly.
you go.
Those are all powers in 2016.
Yeah.
That's right. But I guess you got, as we were talking, you got to make it like really kind of butting heads so that they can find love.
Yeah. So they can butt other things.
That's right.
Like their butts together. They can butt their butts together. That's how you make love. Put
So-
butts together. Get that
Nathan's-
anal vice in there. I'll stop.
Oh dear God! Wow. The Nate and Steele have their little moment there of connection. That where he says, I'm glad to see everything's okay. They have their little
Yeah.
grandfather grandson moment, and then we end the episode with Rex putting the amulet away, and then our good buddy the Reverse Flash shows up, all shaky and wiggly.
Oh, Wiggles.
Oh, just-
that evil wiggly man.
But it's just so cool to see him interacting with other people other than Barry Allen. And that's what I love.
That's what I like about it, because it's when you face up against another speedster, you kind of know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know how it's going to be a race where they race around and hit each other. So it's nice to be put up a speedster against someone who isn't a speedster. I mean, the best they can maybe do is bring in Barry to defeat him, but I feel like that's not going to happen.
No, I'd be curious to see what they do. I'm just curious to see how somebody's going to fight him.
Yeah, the only thing
they
you
don't
could do is
super speed.
surprise him, I think. Just come out of nowhere and kind of get him in the back. Well, they're going to bring Captain Cold into the Legion of Doom, and if they bring him in so the Legion trusts him, and then they're able to convert Cold back,
Yeah.
that might be how they get him.
There's also, I guess, if Firestorm's working on his transmutation powers, if he's able to
Right.
construct something that he can vibrate out of, perhaps, much
Yeah.
like the prison cell that he's trapped in, that Barry traps him in, or an Earth 2 where they use that kind of technology. So maybe that's something
Right.
they could do.
I also feel like we need to bring up, since someone on Twitter mentioned this to both of us, about how about whether Rory's now called the arsonist. I do not think he is. I
No.
think he's still Heatwave. I think Stein just likes to demean him
Yes.
by referring to him as the arsonist, as well as referring to Sarah as the assassin. So that's why they're not saying White Canary. They're just saying the assassin, and the arsonist is what Rory does as like a day job and not what his official title is. So I don't think his name has changed because of Barry or something.
Yeah.
Just to kind of put that out there.
I would
because
agree.
it's brought up.
That was an interesting moment too, where when the JSA kind of starts hearing what the legend is comprised of. Like, oh, we have an assassin, we have a villain.
Yeah.
We have all these guys. Just like I guess like anything that kind of culture shock. Somebody in the 40s who was also about like being honest and trustworthy and put your best face forward.
Yeah, we're all
Finally,
heroes. Yeah.
These are what heroes are in 2016. What kind of world did we leave behind?
Yeah.
Do we want to even win this war?
Listen, old folks, we got the internet.
I mean,
We got shades of gray now.
yeah, and like meth dealers are heroes in 2016, guys.
Right.
So like the fact these legends, it's like this is like not even the worst choice you could have.
Bringing up meth a lot on this
I know,
show.
apparently.
Bringing up big into meth on this show.
So Rex's last words to Vixen before he dies, he says, "Time traveler, time traveler."
Yeah.
Best use of his last words.
What else is he gonna say?
Shaky guy.
Yeah.
Squiggly McGee. It was the squiggles.
Red eyes.
Yellow man, squigs.
He could have at least said a color because you're like, yeah, the yellow suit's something because they're gonna assume that it's one of the legends
Yes.
that killed him.
Do you think that's what's gonna happen? I
Yeah.
guess so.
think-
But how are they gonna hunt them? How are they gonna hunt the legends?
I think at some point somehow Vixen's going to become a member of the Legends, at least temporarily, trying to
Yeah.
figure out like who is responsible for this. I'm hoping this is not a season-long arc. It's just after a few episodes, like the reveal comes. It gets
Yeah.
better. It really
So
isn't.
do you think that she's gonna join the legends in order to figure out who's responsible? So
think
she's
so.
they're not just gonna show up to the legends and be like, "What happened? You killed our man."
Yeah, because I'm curious, like how supposedly the Legends have left 1942. So what makes them want to go back to 42 to talk to Vixen that she could hop on board and hang out with them for a while?
Well, they might not have left yet, quite yet.
That's
they could
true.
just be in the ship, ready to leave. Because usually there's a strap in, we're about to time travel moment. But so maybe it could just be, hey, he died. they said time traveler, and they could be like, "Oh, we've been fighting some evil time travelers. Probably one of them."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, cool. Gonna join the team.
That's
Fight 'em."
exactly
That
how
might
it goes
exactly be what happens.
Very true.
Yeah.
Well, I guess with that, why don't we do, as we're predicting some stuff, why don't we get into, we dive deep into some predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Lucretia, what do you think? Anybody in the chat have a prediction? Do you have a prediction?
Yeah, give us some predictions if you have anything, but let's share what we think right now.
Yeah, pretty much. I do think that Vixen will be the one to sort of join in and investigate because she seemed the most devastated by Hourman's death, but we haven't really seen everybody else. But I feel that
Right.
that's sort of going to have a rift in their team since he was their fearless leader. And they'll probably have that crisis of, like, what do we do? Like the legends. So
Yeah.
I see that sort of coming in, and of course it'll all come out that it was a time traveler eventually, and they'll accuse them, and it'll be a big fight like it always is.
Right. Well, we got Ivan Soto saying Legends will go to 1987 and meet older Obsidian.
Yeah, I read that earlier as well. So played by Lance Henriksen.
Yeah, that's pretty cool
Oh,
casting.
that'll be nice. And maybe that's a good way for them to find out what happened in 1942.
Oh, that's true.
It might be like, what? That happened when we left? We got to go back. We got to find out what happened. That could
Yeah.
be. Or I also think that right now the Reverse Flash has the amulet, right? So
Yes.
we'll probably bring it to Dark, and Dark at least knows what to do with it. And that'll lead more into whatever plan they have. So we're going to find out more about them. And I think we're going to get introduced to some superpowers from Baby Steel.
That's
from
true.
The Time Detective himself.
Now, last season, it kind of seemed to be one episode kind of Vandal Savage related, one episode off. That seemed to be the kind of structure they kind of devolved to. Do you think
Right.
you're going to see that this season? So far, we've got 2 episodes where we've had the Legion of Doom involved.
Yeah. I don't think you need that in this season, which is what I like about this season so much, because that seemed a little strange because we know who the villain is. We know what the villain's plan is. So they have to figure out ways to delay the villain from succeeding in his plan. In this case, we have no idea what they're planning. We know who the villains are. We know at least 2 of them, and the main time-traveling villain, but we don't know what they're planning or how they're going to do it. So I think what I like about this season is as they go on these adventures, finding out what the villain is up to is a part of the main story.
Because what's cool is that, I mean, certainly they know Damien Dark's running around, but they have no idea that Eobard Thawne's involved. I mean, so they kind of know bad things are happening, but they don't have any idea of everybody that's involved, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool. So we can kind of see them, the bad guys doing their thing, with the heroes not knowing exactly what even these other people that are kind of manipulating events in history.
Right. So if they go somewhere in time right now, that from what we know of this episode, I don't know what motivation they have to go to another time period,
No, very true.
except they're looking for Rip.
Yeah.
So, by the way, just go to the West. He's
Yeah,
with
you
Jonah.
know where he is. Yeah.
We all know where he is.
Because it seems like the teaser next week's episode was them in medieval times. So, I mean, none of the
Right, so why are they there?
I mean, the only character, I mean, certainly, Eobard could go back there, but, I mean, that'd be only one of the Legion, because I don't even think Damien Dark's that old.
Right, so it could be that they find a little hint in the history books that maybe Rip is there. So that's why they go there to try and find Rip.
You know,
So maybe that's why.
if they're going to go back to medieval times, let's why not do a nice little DC shout out to the Shining Knight.
Yeah.
Yes, let's get him in there. If we could do the Shining Knight, that'd be awesome. I'm going to just
Some
say that.
Etrigan.
Yes. Oh, nice.
Just gonna throw that out there.
Why not do it?
Might be nice to have some Etrigan, the demon, one of my favorites.
Oh, do you like him when he rhymes all the time? Because I feel like the rhyming gets a little old sometimes.
I would hate to hear the rhyming. I would hate. It's fine when I'm reading. Like
Yeah.
I think it's fine to see how the writer actually accomplishes it every single time. But yeah, I would make it so he does not rhyme. I really want there to be another. I want either Constantine to come back or there to be another spooky DC show because I really want the Spectre.
Yeah.
I really want to meet the Spectre, and right now, the Spectre would only really fit in maybe Arrow because they're kind of dealing in more spookier stuff.
Yeah.
but it's hard to fit him in, like a guy whose power is the wrath of God.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to work into the Flashverse.
God, that'd be cool.
Let's
Though.
see. There's no one
Yeah.
who wants Constantine back more than me.
That's
Yeah.
true. Well,
Every
you,
time.
you've got the Justice League Dark animated film to tide you
Yeah.
over. At least you have an animated version of Matt Ryan to look
Something,
at.
yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's something.
it'll do for now.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Legends Tomorrow After Show. But in the meantime, folks, you can like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes.
Yeah.
Lex Michael demands that you give us those 5 stars. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us there in the chat. Lucretia always has that up and running, so we thank you so much for everybody for chiming in on your thoughts about this episode and the series in general. But if you want to
Yeah.
continue the conversation with us even after the show's over, Lucretia, where can they find you?
You guys can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet, since there is only one.
And you can find me at Mr. Dave Child or DaveChild.com or whatever. And remember, Lex won't come back until you give us 5 stars.
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah, exactly. Me just at the Lex Michael. So just tweet him your angry
Yeah,
thoughts.
just tweet some
About why Lex isn't
about
here.
why he's so terrible
Yes. Yeah.
and how good the show was without him.
And you can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie. We'll see you next week for another Lex Michael free episode of the Legends of Tomorrow After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. See you then.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Animal
Girl.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.